Hello. I'm Alex Harper. Welcome to the first episode of Occult Chat. I am joined by the lovely Hope. Um, we are also joined by my co-host, Cooper. Uh, how are you doing, Cooper?
I'm great. How are you two?
We're doing great. We're
Doing
doing great.
good.
Yeah. Excited for the show. For everyone out there, we are going to be talking about some kind of weird subjects that have been, more talked about more online recently. AI and magic, and there was that recent Tucker Carlson interview about where they discussed this kind of in depth, and I'd actually had the topic for the show planned for a while, but it's interesting that it's becoming more of a relevant topic nowadays. People are talking about this more, talking about the intersection of AI and the occult. And, our guest tonight is somebody that we've brought on to talk about that and also about his occult practice. I'd like to welcome Matt Moura. Hey, Matt, how are you doing?
How's it going? Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. So, yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about? Well, actually, I mean, I think the audience already knows who we are, Cooper and myself. But I guess we could introduce though. We could all
Yeah, let's
introduce
do a brief
ourselves.
introduction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, um, I'm Alex Harper. I'm an astrologer, and you probably follow me for that. But we're going to be talking more about magic today, and also we are going to have questions from callers. But please don't call in for a reading. That's not this show. Or just call in to talk about the topic. Um, and yeah, here I hope you want to say something.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Hope. You might know me as dear_mortal on X and other social media platforms. And yeah, I'm pretty much like an occultist beginner. So I'm really excited to be a part of the show so I can learn more and ask some questions. And yeah, just be enriched by the conversation.
Yeah.
I'm Cooper, the Witch King. It'd be weird if you called me that. Cooper, I prefer. An occultist for as long as I can remember. Like taught Enochian magic by my Jesuit priest because he was entertaining two little gay boys and trying to keep us from sin. That led to a life of witchery and magic, and much later sin. Um, Wrote a book. It's fantastic. You should check it out if you're interested in magic. I tend to be more folky than maybe like capital MCK magic, which I think, to kind of toss this back to you, Matt, is a little bit more your specialty, which I'm eager to pick your brain about and hear some of your experiences with. Because I think it gets a bum rap.
Awesome. So I guess I can also introduce
Yeah,
myself here.
yeah. Tell us who you are, Matt.
Okay. So I'm not going to go deep in origin story. I'm just going to, for now, say I'm Matt Moura. So you can find me on Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all the Gen, what is it, Gen Z, whatever, all the newer stuff. We also I'm also part of the Grey Lodge. We're a group of meta magicians. We do spaces weekly on X. That's very nice. You can check that out as well. We have a website. And yeah, I mean, I was initiated into Kabbalah a couple years ago. You can say now I'm an adept since I've been practicing it for quite a while. Not a master still, but yes, quite interesting. So what I can summarize for now is the Kabbalah that I practice is not Jewish Kabbalah, is not um, Hermetic Kabbalah, is not whatever Kabbalah you may have found. Not because it's, let's say, necessarily different. It's just that the idea is to get as many initiations as possible into one initiation. That's like the whole idea. And we just so happen to call it Kabbalah. We could call it whatever you want. You could call it I Ching, yoga, like really the name doesn't matter. So it's just the idea, right, of the system. And the main object of the system is obviously the tree of life, which I'll be using a lot here to explain about the stuff. But as a general introduction, I guess this is it. Where do you guys want to go from here?
Yeah. So you have a service on your website. You offer readings of different kinds of occult readings. But one thing that intrigued me was you had like a kind of custom Kabbalah based service. Like, can you tell us a little bit about that? What goes into that and how that works?
Awesome. So I guess also to answer to Cooper, how I usually practice. First thing to understand is that this system, so Kabbalah, is basically a system to understand reality. So reality is made out of that. If someone goes and claims it was something by lemurs and whatever to get the AI overlords, whatever, like if you want to claim that kind of stuff, that's cool as well. But the way that I was initiated, this is the system to reality. Meaning, if you want to make anything come into existence, you need to use the system well. You can like it or not, you can want it or not, like that's just how it goes. So when talking about magic, it can be as simple as something within our minds. Like for example, I help some people get out of addictions, like smoking addictions and this kind of things, just using mind, like literally just visualizing things and um, getting, there's a whole like mythology whatever to it, but the main idea is that you can work with that. So that's one way. You can work with actual ceremonies, right? So what people would call ceremonial magic, high magic, whatever, which is also a way to work. So you would not only use your mind, which is always present, but you also use maybe some instruments. You would also be in some kind of environment, which is also, again, helping your mind construct all the things. I can also work with folk magic. I don't have it with me right now, but like it's, you can also use it, right? You can get some elements, you can get some herbs, you can get some stuff around and play with that. But the main idea is always the mind. The mind is the one doing everything. All the external things are just like a support for that. So it's helping your mind make sense of thing, or getting the necessary energy for the thing to work. Because magic always comes with a price. If you want to do something, there's always an exchange involved, be it of energy, be of time, be whatever. Like there's always some kind of energy being exchanged. And yeah, the service that I have on my website, I usually don't market it just because I guess it's also hard to market it because in theory it can be anything. So if you have a problem, a legal problem, yeah, in theory that can be helped. If you have a problem with money, yeah, that can also be helped. Or if you want to just make your business grow more, like that's what usually has been coming to me, because then you can also not only do magical stuff, but you can do real world stuff, right? Start using some kind of new technology or whatever. If you have relationship issues, if you have health issues, like really anything comes, because if that's truly the system that creates reality, it should encompass everything. That there should be a way to manage anything related to your life into that system. Otherwise, it's not truly, let's say, complete. There would be missing something. There would be some things missing. So maybe I can explain how it usually goes. So just so
Yeah,
it's more
yeah.
clear.
So if like a hypothetical example, like if someone comes to you with
Mhm.
one of these problems you suggested, like wanting to grow their business or having some other problem, maybe they're having what was another example you said?
Like money, I can give a money issue example.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about the money thing.
Yes. So what happened, for example, very recently, this woman, she basically had money that was from her husband, that the husband promised to their daughter, but she got the money and invested it somewhere and kind of lost all the money. And it was not a small amount of money, but like quite a few. So instead of, I mean, just saying, "Hey, I lost the money," because it wasn't also a money to, do some surgery or whatever. It was just extra money. The daughter would probably buy a house or something. But instead of doing that, she kind of went with the lie and then said, "No, no, I still have the money. I still have the money." And then like got a lawyer to kind of have a document saying, "Yes, the money will be in the account that day." So she kind of made things complicated for herself, and she really needed the money. Okay, so let's say like 50K or something along those lines. Okay, what can we do? Well, for starters, we need to understand what exactly can be done, because with magic, there's one thing where, sure, sometimes you can do things, but you kind of need some kind of credit, or it's like things are not always as exactly as you want, you know. So for
Yeah.
example, this woman, she wanted to fix the issue by just having the money and not having to clear out the, not having to be seen as a liar to her daughter and husband and whatever, right? She just wanted the money to like a quick fix, and it's very hard to happen. So she, what ended up happening is, I went and accessed her tree of life. Okay, so that's one of the things that can be done with this service. What does it mean? If I access her tree, I can understand exactly where the problem is. So, give an example. If one of the spheres here, let's say the red one, if the red one, or in her case, the orange one. So the orange one is talking about communication. So if you are an astrologer, it's Mercury, for example, usually associated with Mercury. So if I step on her Mercury and I see there's a problem, I can understand, oh, for example, the lying stuff. That's something she'll have to sort it out. Like, I cannot do it for her. She'll have to come forward and say it. Even if the money comes, maybe that's the thing, maybe the money won't come until she goes and tells the truth. So you can clearly sense what's going on. And okay, that's one of the things. First, sensing. Then I can even try and doing things for her, like trying to negotiate. And that's what I ended up doing in this case. I went to one of the paths, which is related to the Wheel of Fortune in the tarot, meaning the money. And I presented an exchange, like, okay, what can she do to better like open her path to make this work? And suggestions come. Like in her case, it was to get a white candle and to light it up in a specific day. Okay, so that for her was the case. Now, you could ask yourself, what the heck, a white candle in a specific day and so on. See, I didn't personally rationalize at that moment, but you can see it afterwards, you can check it, and that's usually how it goes. On that date, there was some astrological things happening that would facilitate the type of energy that she was going to work with. If I'm not mistaken, it was like a moon in Capricorn, um, and some other things like. And then the white candle is again the white. It could be just as pure, but in this case, it was related to that path, the Wheel of Fortune path. Basically, if she does everything correctly, she should handle her situation. Now, handling the situation doesn't mean she's getting the 50K or something in her account, but it means handling the situation because, again, that money wasn't necessarily for something super urgent or whatever. So it can come, but maybe it can come in a different time, or maybe it comes in a different way. But the thing gets sorted. So that's the main idea with the service. Sometimes, yes, exactly what you need and what you want is what's gonna come. Sometimes, yeah, because it's like you, if you get yourself into too much trouble, there's a there's a limit, right? So
Yeah.
magic
Yeah.
is
And
not.
it's,
You understand what
yeah.
I mean?
I like to say that, I mean, magic can make improbable things more likely to happen, but the more improbable it is, the more difficult it is to achieve with magic.
Exactly.
And so, a lot of times you have to look for the kind of path of least resistance, or like the weakest link where you can kind of punch through and generate an effect with your magic that will have some other kind of tertiary effect that gets the result you want. Sometimes you have to approach it that way. You can't,
Exactly.
uh, you like, it'd be great if you could just summon $50,000 to your bank account, but
Exactly. I'd be doing that nonstop.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
think about it, right? So at the end of the day, there's this concept of a cosmic justice, in the sense that justice, not in the human sense of, okay, there was some balloons, not in the human sense of there are rules
yeah.
and whatever, but cosmic justice in the sense of things have to work out with rules. Like, that's it. There's gravity, right? You have to
Mhm.
abide to gravity. That's how it goes. Okay, maybe we can build a machine that kind of fights it, but it requires energy to fight gravity. It requires something else. Like, that's the kind of things that go with those services. And that was one example, very complex and one. Simpler example, I have an addiction. smoke addiction, food addiction, doesn't matter. I have an addiction. Okay, in 1 hour, we can make a call. If you're really truly, if you really truly want to stop the addiction, because I cannot do it for you, you need to want it and be ready for it. 1 hour or so, we can make a call, and again, by using your mind, by using some mental techniques, some imagination techniques, the thing is gone. And I don't say it like, oh, it's gone and you're gonna relapse. No, it should be gone, gone. Again, it depends on person to person. I have had people who literally next day said like, man, what the fuck is this? Like, I never, like, what the heck? Like, what did you do to me? No, you do it. Like, I didn't do nothing. I just teach you. You do it. And some other people which were like, yeah, okay, I kind of smoke less and so on. So again, depends on the
So
person.
it
At the
sounds
end of
like
the day,
what
as well.
happens is it sounds like what happens is someone comes to you with some kind of problem, and then you kind of fashion a specific type of magical working, like tailored to this problem using the Kabbalah. It sounds like that's
Exactly.
in a nutshell,
Exactly.
that's what it is.
Exactly.
That's very
S-
fascinating. Um, so I you mentioned that your Kabbalah is different. It's not one of the ones that is ordinarily talked about. Is there anything you can share with us about? I mean, I understand you may have taken some oath or something with the initiation, so obviously, but I don't know.
Yep.
What's the origin?
Yes. Yes. So the main idea is not that it has something that so maybe the different point is, if I say Jewish Kabbalah, people are going to associate with everything Jewish, so the Jewish names and how the Jewish treat the Kabbalah and so on, so on, which is, to my understanding, is not complete. It misses things just because it wants, like, that's its point. It wants to say this is how our things, like the Adam Kadmon and the how the tree works and so on, so on. Okay, if I say it is a Hermetic Kabbalah, then again, it's going to have things which are not necessarily complete just because they want to. It's like a cut from the system, right? It's like if I want to work with tropical astrology or sidereal astrology, like I would have to choose, okay, I want to work with this one or that one. In theory, what's the Kabbalah that I was initiated into tries to have everything explained by one system, which is that tree of life, the one that I'm showing here.
Yeah, yeah. I will
So
pull
the
it up on
difference,
the screen so everyone can see it. I've got
awesome, thanks.
your thing here. So, yeah, the
Exactly.
tree of life.
So
Yeah.
so the main difference then would be that using it, I can understand any system. That should be the case. So if there is a system someone comes up with, I should be able to, using that Kabbalah the way that I was initiated in, and look, okay, so these guys are using that sphere, that path, that way, and so on, so on, so on. So it's not so much that the tree has new things, but more so it should be a synthesis of all the other things that already have come to pass.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
So, yeah, absolutely. Kind of just wrapping this up for the audience who might not be as familiar with the historical context we're talking about. So there's Q and K Kabbalah are kind of the big groups that we're talking about, right? So there's the Jewish Kabbalah and then the Hermetic Kabbalah, and then what you're doing here, which is double A Kabbalah, I guess if we're talking about
Mm-hmm.
spelling conventions,
Yep.
would kind of be the third wave of this, which sounds a little bit more like chaos magic given historical context and more of like a syncretic lens rather than sort of a subversive one. Is that fair to
So
say?
the way, at least from the way that I was initiated in, and then that's something, uh, you can take it from my word, but the way that I was initiated, that would be the timeline would be actually that this Kabbalah would be the primordial, just because it should encompass all the systems. So it is as if, let's say, Jewish Kabbalah would be a subset of that Kabbalah. So again, I cannot attest for how or like when it was
Mm,
created. I can say something, but I cannot. I don't have a document saying like, "Hey, this was actually." So I cannot come with documents for that. But
yeah.
that's at least how it was passed down to me. Does it make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, there are some alterations to this. I mean, well, so because this image that you posted online is interesting, right? I mean, there's like the yin and yang symbol
Hmm.
here, and this yin Sephiroth is not in all of the representations of the Kabbalah, right? Sometimes this is missing.
Yes,
Uh, and this is you've got these multicolored wheels, and also just the choice of colors to represent the different Sephiroths, interesting as well. I mean, why don't you tell us a little bit more about this tree of life and how it works?
perfect. Perfect. So again, it is a system that creates reality. So we should ask ourselves first, like what exactly is reality, right? So the idea is that our brain, what it does is it gets energy, condensed energy, and it gets energy and it transforms that into condensed matter. So that we could call the lightning path. Kabbalists would call it the lightning path. So the energy is up there at the topmost sphere, and it comes down and it becomes something. Or the opposite, we get from the environment, from nature, we get the energy. We It works its way up and it becomes condensed. It becomes like just pure energy. So condensed energy, pure matter, becomes pure energy. So the idea then is that I can make a quick explanation in practical ways.
So just to wrap up that, or just to confirm that here
Mhm.
is like, energy coming into form, and this is, physical form undoing into energy.
So it would be from the topmost to the bottommost, the one with four colors. So it
Oh,
goes the whole tree,
Ah,
exactly,
right.
and it goes in a zigzag form. So I can explain one process. For example, let's say you are creating. Let's say you want to eat. Okay, that's the most simple example. Everyone wants to eat and eats every day. Okay, so that starts with an idea. The will. The will is the topmost sphere. So you need to want to eat. Like you don't eat just because. In theory,
mhm.
you want, even if it's not a physical want, maybe it's like a psychological want, an emotional want, doesn't matter. You want it. Okay. That desire, that spark, then needs to become an image in your mind. And that's the one that is circling. It should be like iridescent or something like that. Like, I don't know the name in English.
Iridescent.
Iridescent.
Iridescent,
Iridescent,
exactly.
yeah.
So I try to making it spinning just so it's clear that it's that and not like a fixed color.
Hmm.
But that should be the image. So again, you want to eat something. Let's say you don't have an image of that in your mind. You're not going to eat it. Like you cannot even find it. You go to an app, you don't know what to look for because you don't have that image in your head. So the same, if you want to create like a car, if you want to manufacture a car, you need some kind of blueprint of the car, some image of the car. If you want to create a light bulb, like again, you need the image of something for it to then become eventually something real. So that's when the energy becomes light, for example. So it needs to become light. Okay, then it goes to the black sphere. That's when it becomes sound. So light becomes sound. In what way, if you're talking about eating? So that should be when you can actually explain what you want to eat. So again, let's say you went to, I don't know, China or something, and you had the most delicious meal. So you know how it looks, but you cannot explain it. Like you don't remember its name. You don't know how to explain it to someone else. So you can search for it. So you can ask for someone to cook it. So again, you need to understand the thing to be able to even express it somehow and search for it. So again, light becomes sound. Then it goes through a portal, which is the yin and yang. Exactly. So that's when the thing needs to be expressed. So it's the first, it's the portal because it starts becoming matter there. So before that, it's kind of just abstract, mental things. So expressed in what way? Maybe you have a piece of paper and you write it down. That's one way of expressing. Maybe if we're talking about food, maybe you go into an app and you start smashing buttons. So again, you're expressing your intent to have that thing. If you just wish it, it can come sometimes, but again, ideally, you want to make the process work flawlessly. So you would express it somehow. Okay, then after that portal, it goes through the blue sphere, and that's when you're putting all the positive emotions into that thing. For example, you want to eat because it's so tasty. You want to eat because you're hungry. So okay, eating will feed into your hunger. So what are the good things that this is going to give you? Okay, pretty simple. What are the good things? It goes to the red sphere, which is the discipline that you need. So usually the not so good things that come along. Maybe you have to pay for it, and maybe it's super expensive. Like I want to eat caviar every day. Yeah, okay, you can, and it's good maybe for you, but it's gonna cost. Or maybe you wanna have a like a super good shape. You need to go to the gym. It requires discipline. So everything that you want requires some kind of some discipline, something that maybe it's not a good point about it, and you have to consider that. Because let's say if you say to yourself that you want to do something, and yeah, there are a lot of good things, but there's also a lot of discipline involved, and you're not ready, or there's a lot of challenges, maybe it's not the best to do it. Okay, those two get synthesized into the yellow one at the center,
Yes.
which is where you start seeing the beauty of the thing that you're doing, the harmony of it. So again, it has to be harmonious. You have to be able to balance out the pros and cons of the thing. Otherwise, again, it doesn't really work. And that's when we start to see also, again, the beauty aspect of it. Things have to be aesthetic so that you get more appeal. It's not that if you don't use it or they're not beautiful, because again, it also depends on what you're talking about, there has to be some kind of beauty into the thing so it can come forward with more energy.
I
Okay,
think
after
it's
that,
interesting.
go
Sorry,
on.
I think it's really interesting that the beauty sphere requires a blend of both like the cost and the challenges, as well as like the
Hmm.
positive things and benefits that you get from it. It's not. I don't think that's like typically how I see like beauty as like a topic or a subject matter. I don't really consider the cost or the challenges that would come with it, but it's really interesting to see how in this framework, it's like you need both.
Hmm. Because then it also becomes earned, right? It's something that it's not like it just happens. No, no, there's like some kind of challenge to it. Also, that sphere, as you can see, is the most center one. So it is connected to basically all the spheres minus the one at the
Yes.
bottom. So that would be the sun, for example, what we usually correlate to it. So again, it's the center point, and where a lot of myths, like from religious myths to the hero's journey, all of the things, usually the main character is also the one being placed at that side. So it's the one that balances everything.
Oh, interesting.
Then from that point, it goes into the green sphere, which you should basically control your emotions. How? By being silent. So again, if you want to eat, let's say you are in your house with your family and you want to eat like a good burger or something, or like a chocolate. You want to eat a chocolate, okay? And then you start talking to everyone about it. Now everyone wants the chocolate as well, and then like you're gonna have to share it with everyone, and or maybe you want to do something super crazy, like you want to quit your job and become an astrologer, and then you start talking to your mom and dad about it, and they're like, "Come on, you're not gonna do this. Like, what the heck? Just go and do a normal job." So the main idea here is to control your emotions so that you don't bleed it out to other people, not because they are going to go against you or something, but because sometimes it's they're just going to project their things, which is not a bad intent from them. Like with this example of the parents, right? It's not that they don't want
Right.
you to succeed in one, but maybe they're not ready for that same idea that you had. Like you had the idea, not them. So maybe they're not ready for that, and they're going to start also entering this process, and maybe you're going to start having doubts about it because you talked to other people and they kind of like planted things in your mind now. So if you're not truly succeeding to most things, just keep it to yourself. Share it when it's ready. When it's ready, when it's working, then you
Mhm.
share it. It's a different time only. Don't share it before. So again, emotional control. If it goes forward, it goes to the orange sphere, which then would be the mental control. It's all the reasonings, like the last connection of thoughts you have to make for something to happen. As you probably saw now, every time we go into the right, column, so where's the blue, the green, and the iridescent one, we are expanding, we're getting more things and so on. And on the left column, where's the orange and red and so on, it's usually contracting things. It's usually like making sure things are organized, and so that's the whole idea. It expands and contracts, expands and contracts. So in this phase right there, it's probably where you would, have a contract for something, where you'd have some kind of like pretty clear concept of the thing, very detailed on a paper. Like again, if it's very mercurial thing, you very like rational, very mind related and so on. Okay, before it comes to the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, which is the last one, it goes to the purple one, which is where most people fail when they're trying to manifest things, which is the fundamentals. So what are the fundamentals of that thing that you're trying to create? For example, if you want to make some manifestation to become rich, with the lady example that I gave, she didn't feel like she's worth it. She literally, there was one voice clip that she said, I don't think money comes from thin air or something. And I'm like, you're hiring magic. Like, money should come from thin air. That's the whole point of the thing. Like, if you don't believe that, then sorry, like, go to the
Yeah, what
bank
are
or
you
something.
doing? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's this point of feeling worthy. You should, again, it's a fundamental. If you don't feel worthy, you feel like you don't feel it. You feel like you shouldn't have it, and so on. So when that's ready, it's like the last phase. If you're talking about like a company, it's like the quality assurance. So you're making sure everything's tidy and so on. And yeah, okay, all the fundamentals are right, and it's ready to be done. It's ready to be packaged. Well, when that's done, things come to life. Comes to the last sphere. That's where things get concrete, when they actually are realized. So if we're talking about the eating example, that's when you're actually there and eating whatever you wanted to eat. Or the product that you made, like that's when the product got made, and it's now ready to be sold and so on. So that's the step top down. The step bottom up would be the reverse. So you would get, I'm just gonna fast forward it. You would get the whole thing.
Yeah.
You would read into its fundamentals. You're gonna see everything that makes sense to it. You're gonna read about it technically. You're gonna have the emotions about it. You're gonna have the beauty, all the harmony about it, and so on. You're gonna have the discipline, all the fights, internal fights, and justice, and it goes. So that's the whole point. With the tree, with that explanation, you should be able to see how any other system fits into that. Also, it didn't go into, but there are the paths. So as you can see, there are little lines between all the spheres.
Yes.
If we count, we would have 22 paths. So then we have 10 spheres, 22 paths, and one sphere, not sphere, which is the yin yang. As you can see, it's behind the whole tree. That totals into 33 different access points, basically. Okay, why 33? Well, first of all, because there are there's like a whole numerological thing behind it. But basically, from that number is one of the numbers that we can work as a person. Like if you go into literally the numerology of people's birthdays and so on, is one of the maximum numbers that you can have in a birth date usually. You can have more, but it's like very, very rare, just because the way reality works for now. Maybe in like a couple aeons, things change. But for now, that's just how it goes. So also, one thing to be clear, to my understanding, the tree is not fixed. So it gets, let's say, updated. Every once in a while, you get more spheres, more paths, more things. And you can see that happening if you look at the past. Like at the past, you had the Ogdoad, which was from the Egyptians. Like you had 8 main points, like 8 spheres, as you can say.
Right.
You have the, with the Norse, you have the Yggdrasil, which were 9 realms, and so on. So again, the things keep getting updated. As we can see now, like with AI stuff, if you get like a neural network image, it's basically like this sideways. It's like all the points. If you look for neural network nodes, maybe.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, interesting.
So it's basically the tree but sideways. You have the input, which is the first, the topmost. It gets transformed, and it becomes something, which is the last sphere,
Huh.
right? So again, there's many more spheres there. It's fine. Like the thing can get updated. It's not fixed. So I would say that's the most
Interesting.
basic explanation of it, because then you can get detailed if you want, right? If you I like the Eastern stuff more. Okay, cool. You can even change the style, right? Like you can instead of talking about spheres and so on, you can say, oh, the red one is Aries, or the blue one is Zeus, and whatever. Like you can give god names of that, or you can say those are qualities of the thing that you worship. It doesn't really matter. The point is that it's a system, and you can adapt to it. That's the main thing behind it.
That's cool.
William Birkin says, hi, guys and ghouls. Hi, William Birkin. Also, hi to Jin and Geocosmic Valentine. Hey, guys. Thanks for
Hello.
tuning in. Um, Cooper, I felt like you might have had some question or comment. The
Um, no, because I want to ask questions that you should not ask an initiate on a public forum. Um, I just I find the double A and 33 and using the Tree of Life as a magic machine. Um, I could guess where this initiatory tradition comes from, which is very interesting because whether I'm right or I'm wrong, those numbers are very significant in a lot of Western magic. So I think kind of my practical question, instead of trying to get you to out things that you're not supposed to be outing, um, and maybe I'm using the word magic machine inappropriate here. But when we talk about a technology or framework or some kind of logic system that's meant to produce a result, um, that's the term that I would use. And so I would talk about this as a
Mhm.
magic machine, which is very
Yeah, completely
interesting.
agree.
Um, in particular, and I would ask about how you operate it is very interesting because you don't position yourself from what you've said. Now, what you do in your actual ritual, I'm sure you'll tell us, but you talked about your client was excited about the results, or like, what did you do to me? And you're like, well, I didn't do anything. Um, in a lot of ways, if we were to put this as like a salesman service kind of thing, it seems like you're more of selling the machine rather than selling your services using the machine, um, which is an approach I like. I think is good. So if I'm wrong, don't correct me too hard. But how do you see this? Let's use the word technology and your relationship to it as the practitioner, because I think a lot of syncretic modern magic systems really fixate on the practitioner, the operator of the machine. It sounds like your approach takes that and flips it on its head. So I would be interested to hear you talk a little bit more about that personal experience with using this kind of style.
Yes. So first things first, I try my best most times to make sure that people learn how to do this stuff instead of me doing it for them, because it's otherwise it's like, let's say I fix the problem, the person next week creates the problem again because they didn't understand how the thing works. So they create the problem and then they come to me, hey, I need the problem fixed, and I fix the problem. And so when I can, I teach them. When I cannot, or when it would take much more time, then I can just do it for them as well. It makes total sense. Like with the woman example, right? I didn't ask her like, hey, buy some poster with the Kabbalah and do all the magic ritual. Like, it's just it doesn't make sense. She paid me to do the thing. But then again, how do I relate myself to the tool? So first of all, again, it is a tool. That's how I understand it. Now, is it a tool? Does it make it less important? No, to me, that's how reality is created. Like literally, I cannot unsee it. I try to. I try to not see it everywhere, but it is really hard. Every time I look at something, it can be as an ad somewhere. It could be the way someone named something. It doesn't matter. This thing comes up every time. So it became ever since I got initiated into it, it became like everything basically. Like it is, even if I'm not practicing magic. Let's say if I'm not actually uh, trying to do some magical thing, it is kind of happening. So the whole reality kind of became already the the Kabbalah. Let's say now, once we are talking about actual practical usage and operation, like I said in the beginning, the mind is the one that is doing all the job. So this is but a thing for the mind to get some help, to basically to make things easier for the mind. Okay, so again, if one wants to practice I Ching, that's completely fine. It's not going to be that diagram, it's going to be different diagrams and so on. To me, I can see what they're doing and I can understand what they're doing through that lens of the tree of life that I'm showing right now. But the point is that the mind is the one doing the job. Another cool example is I like a lot to use pop things. So, for example, some anime or some movie or some music. Like music is so freaking powerful. You can use that, like the lyrics of the music and the rhythm and so on, to make some magic out of it. Because if you understand what it is actually doing, let's say, if you can relate what the lyrics and the sounds and so on are to each of the spheres, then you know what you're doing. Then the magic works just as normal, right? Or with some anime thing, like if you're uh, getting some power from, like, you watch something and you think, oh, it's so cool and so on, you have already some connection to it, it makes sense in your mind and so on. It becomes something of your arsenal, right? So I think that the main point is that this shouldn't be, at least from my perspective, it shouldn't be like a crutch. Let's say something. Oh, it only works if I do with that and if I have it printed with me, and so, like, it's not like that. That, like, the mind is the most important, and but it's a good guide. It's a very good guide for me. Like, it makes things much simpler. For example, when I first learned astrology, you have to learn all the planets and then all the signs and then all the different houses and then how they correlate and the aspects and then the domiciles and blah. You have to learn everything. But then I understood, wait a second, it, I was taught as well, each of the planets is associated with one of the spheres, each of the signs is associated with one of the spheres, also the paths and the houses and so on. So when I put my map into the tree, then it becomes super clear to me, like, oh, okay, yeah, I have that and that quality, that and that quality. Like, sure, I can go and dig deep into a more detailed, proper astrology reading, to go into some books and look for it, go and meditate on the things and so on. But if I can look at that already in the tree, to me, because I learned about it, it makes things much more easier. At least that's on, like, how I usually operate. I don't know if I answered your question or if uh, that was
Yeah, I
clear enough.
think I'll give you a useful follow-up in terms of how you, and I think you've answered the question to some extent, but I'll make you be pointed with it.
Hmm.
You talked about the image itself doesn't matter. You earlier described that you're part of a group of meta magicians, which I think speaks to exactly what you're talking about here, where you're not presenting this as the end all be all. Um, I have found the golden plates and looked upon them with the seeing stone, and this is what I saw. More that this is the framework by which all of the occurrences that take place are based. And so if you understand that prior logic, you can infer everything thereafter. Is that about right?
Exactly. Also, just to be clear, the group that I mentioned, the Grey Lodge, is not from where I got the initiation.
Hmm.
We just happened to get together afterwards. But yeah, I got initiated by a master, like just one master.
Do Is your lodge all practice the same form of Kabbalah, or are you guys drawing on different modern magical traditions?
No,
I
we are.
understand that wasn't.
Yeah, no, no, no. It's cool. We each have our own different things. Like, we have Vajrayana Buddhists, we have normal, like, uh, Jewish Kabbalah, we have a lot of different stuff, and we just kind of work together. we don't always agree on things, but we kind of just, like, for example, one of my friends there uses a system of Kabbalah which is different than what I use, and that's completely fine. Like, we just work it out. Um, but yeah, the one that my initiation came from a master in this Kabbalah that Alex was showing.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks for explaining that. I've seen a lot of different. One thing in the Kabbalah is that they attribute the different sephirots to different planets. Um, I noticed that you did not have planetary attributions in yours, and I know you say um, you're not using Jewish Kabbalah, so you may not use the same names. Do you name the Sephiroths in this system? Do they have different names in your system?
Not really, to be honest. To make it simple, I just happen to use the same, or not that I use, it was passed on to me, the same Jewish names. Also because then it's much more simpler to associate things, right? Like if you're also searching for something, because again, it's not so much that this system created something new necessarily, but more so it presents itself as the primordial thing. So if someone came up in a couple hundred years ago and said, okay, this sphere is called Hesed, cool, we can use that name. Like if that's the name that people know right now, it's like a meme, right? Now that's the meme name. Okay, cool, let's go with that name. If in a couple hundred years maybe change its name, that's completely fine as well. Like I like to focus more on the colors and where they are in the tree, just because it's easier for people. Like let's say I can explain to my mom, right? I don't need her to remember all the Hebrew names and so on and so on. Just like colors, right? It's pretty easy to understand how red would be more transgressive, let's say more aggressive, more discipline oriented, more fiery than blue. Like it's already in the color. I don't need to give it a name that would further explain it, basically. Um, and yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. Um, I mentioned in the beginning of the show that we were going to talk about, kind of applying this to AI, right? And there was that interview that Tucker Carlson did a few weeks ago where he had this guy on that went on and on about Nick Land, which is weird that Nick Land was getting talked about on Tucker Carlson. But uh, there's the diagram. I'm trying to pull it up.
Yeah, it's called a
But
numogram.
yeah, yeah, yeah. This. All right, so let me share again. Um, okay, so it's this
Yeah.
diagram here. Um, this kind of does, these are nodes that go here. Now, there's a lot of people that are now, it's kind I've been seeing this type of speculative talk more online about like, oh, the AI can be a shell for demons or other spirits we can put inside of it. And I was wondering if you had any thoughts on this notion that since it's becoming talked about more, have you? Yeah, what do you think?
So I don't know if you ever watched the movie. It's a very like low budget movie, but if you can search, maybe it's called Necrotronic with a K, like Necrotronic. Yeah, exactly that one. So the whole plot of the thing, I mean, it's it's you don't need to watch it, but the whole plot of the thing is that literally
Read the
demons.
Wikipedia.
Yeah, exactly. Demons come into there's like an app. Basically, demons need people for something. I already forgot the whole plot, but demons need people to do something, and they basically now have an app that people start installing, and it's to like capture ghosts, but it's like actual ghosts, and then they kind of get possessed and whatever. So the demons kind of enter the internet. That's the whole plot of the thing. So if you the first maybe thing to clarify would be, okay, what exactly are the thing that you're calling a demon? Because when the podcast that I mentioned, the guy mentions, oh, the Lemurians and whatever demons, like, okay, let's get specific. If we're talking demons, just something that is not from this realm. Well, wait a second. If it's not from this realm, is it already a demon? Or if it's not from this realm, it can be a demon or something else. Like we need to start getting into the semantics. And
Yeah,
then again,
where
to me,
demons even come from, right?
e-
Maybe this is their home turf, right? It seems
exactly,
that way sometimes.
exactly. So if we go from the daimons from the Greek, they're not necessarily the horny like red guys with the thing. Like again, things start get mixed up. So to my understanding, again, if what if it's the story from how man was made, right? Let's pick that up because it's very known. Oh, God got the dirt and then made man with the breath, made man into existence. Okay, that's one story. Cool. There's another story with the Greek that there was the humans, and then the humans didn't have the fire from the Olympians. One of the Titans, Prometheus, got the fire and gave it to the humans. And Zeus was pissed, like, how could you do this and so on? But now humans had the fire. Okay, what's this fire? You We could understand it as the imagination, so the power to imaginate, to create things and so on. If you're talking about the internet, some, let's say more specifically now the AIs like ChatGPT and so on, well, they're kind of made already into based on ourselves in the sense of they are trained with data that we produced, right? So the next step, if we are following the myth, is that they can just do things on their own. We don't need to ask them to do something. They're not like a worker anymore. They're just their own thing. When that becomes a thing, um, it's just a matter of time, really, because for it even to be more efficient, right? If I need to keep asking it for stuff when it can just do it themselves, like the agent kind of thing, then it's going to be more efficient. So when that becomes a thing, it's not going to be so different, right, from all those stories. So in a way, when you start to get into the semantics, yeah, kinda, there could be other beings intercepting the thing. Even when we see movies like Poltergeist and so on, if we really understand that things from the other side can interfere with electromagnetism, like can make the light bulbs go off and can make the television go on and on and so on. Like, yeah, they could fucking change some energy from the computer and make the AI answer something, right? In
Well,
theory.
yeah, I mean,
So,
because I mean, there's electrical kind of components in the body, right, with how our neurochemistry works and our brain works and all of this, and these electrical currents and pulses, these can be used by, kind of spiritual entities
mhm,
to kind of go and get access
yep,
to the person and like their spiritual body, their etheric body, and all of this, and so to me, it makes sense that if a human is some kind of grid that's accessible to a being like this, then why wouldn't some artificial neural network operated by circuitry and electrical pulses, similarly, you know, and this one might even be better than a person because then there's no one else inside it, right? So you
yep,
don't have to compete with, trying to over if you're this entity, right? You don't have to
hmm,
bother with possessing the person and taking away their will. You can just imbue yourself into this machine. Um,
exactly. So if we want to get very speculative, I'm going to say speculative because I cannot prove it to you, right?
right.
But in theory, one way to understand beings from other realms, it doesn't have to be all mystical. Let's take, for example, the frequency range. We as humans have a potential to a certain subset of all the frequencies. We cannot see all the colors, we cannot hear all the sounds, we cannot interact with everything. Like right now, there's Wi-Fi all around me. I cannot see it, I cannot sense it necessarily, right? Maybe if I pay super attention, I can start sensing it, but it's not that straightforward. So we could imagine that maybe those beings, they cannot, if they operate from the same physics, they would be around here, but just in a different frequency, literally, that I cannot like perceive with my body right
Hmm.
now. So in that way, they wouldn't be that far, really. Like, as in, like, the super mystical idea that maybe they're in another realm. Like maybe there could be a guy like right here watching the podcast, and that's it, or a guy behind you, and so yeah, there could be. So if that guy is here, and if we're talking about frequency, he probably knows more about the frequencies just because he is looking. He can make the comparison. He can look at himself, look at me, and see, oh, those are different things. So I would assume they would have a little bit more consciousness, let's say, to be able to interact with things. Yeah, easily they could interfere. if you think about it, the AI then becomes some kind of um, divinatory thing, even because it is kind of a message from the other side. Let's say it's a message from this thing that is never the same. Like the whole point of the AI is that it shouldn't answer always the same thing, right? It's like a prediction machine. Okay, but it could predict into anything, and it predicted right exactly into that thing that came to you at that moment. So it's very like divinatory almost. So if you don't want to assume that there's another being behind it, that's cool. The whole thing is already kind of um, how can I say it's already has this feeling of being divinatory and having the things there, um, kind of making it into existence, right? And it pulls, if you think about it as well, the AI pulls the data from all the other resources it had found before, so like books and audios and like all the data that the AIs have, right? So they're kind of pulling from this, you can call akashic records, or from the spirit realm, because all those ideas are a lot of times from people that are dead, right? So if you're reading a book from someone which was dead, which is that you're reading their thoughts, they're not here anymore. You're reading their thoughts. So if the AI is talking from that point of view, it's talking from their kind of mindset, from their ideas, from their things. So it's kind of an evolution from a tech that we had in different shapes before. I think that's the whole point with technology as well. A lot of times is that people would talk a lot about scrying mirrors in the past, right? An obsidian mirror that you would look into to be able to talk to entities, and so on and so on. Well, guess what? Nowadays we have this, and it's not so different. Like from this or from my computer, it's a black obsidian kind of thing that we are talking with. We are talking through. Like you guys are in the US, I'm in Europe. Like, well, it's not so different. Just the thing is now kind of analogical. We can see it, we can touch it. Everyone can use it, even your grandma. So it becomes more popular.
Interesting.
I think that's interesting. I would push back, and I think anybody who knows me and follows my very private internet diary knows that I think AI is goofy hyped. Mostly because I don't think it is actually capable of doing what you're talking about. We talk about artificial intelligence, but it isn't. I would say it's not conscious. And I would argue from a magical perspective, consciousness is so much more important than intelligence, where a lot of things have minds, but not necessarily a consciousness. And I would emphasize in terms of like what I find people who are like, we're going to program this intelligence and we're going to farm all of magic and it will be the God machine. And like, how? It's drawing on shadows from shadows, right?
Yep.
You're talking about it's farming all of this human intelligence. Sure, but those are our words. And words are inherently awful at communicating information. The fact that humans can communicate as much as we do, as well as we do, is amazing, but it requires an immense amount of context to understand even a recipe from 200 years ago. It'll say you need to use an egg. What kind of egg? Everyone might use chicken eggs now, but 150 years ago, you might not have had chicken eggs. You might have been using different eggs. So all of that going in to say, like, I am so much more terrified of people looking for God in a machine, or looking for spirits, or looking for demons in this. When it isn't. It isn't anything new. It is the same as a talking box. It's the same as anything that's going to
Yep.
scan a radio. It's the same as doing bibliomancy. It's the same as looking at the cracks on a turtle's carapace. We want to go back 5,000 years to China. Like I'm blown away at how little people think about it as a tool and think about it as like literally Deus Ex Machina. Like this is going to be the birth of super intelligence. Like, guys, we don't even understand how our minds work. How the hell do you think some sweaty nerds were able to write code more complicated than the best psychiatrists could ever imagine? Like, it's absurd. But people really believe it, and I think that's also very interesting. Because I would make the argument, as I think most practitioners would, belief is very important. And so if people believe God is in here and God is not in here, what is going to fill the space? I think AI is a terrifying magic mirror. I like that you drew the scrying mirror out because it is just reflecting ourselves. It's almost like the Antichrist version of the Greek daemon, where if that is our true and most highest perfect self, I think this reflects the worst and most awful elements of ourselves. It tends to be why people who spend a lot of time using AI are fucking miserable and kill themselves or are addicted to weird sex bots. It's why folks like Theo are accepting that profitable AI is impossible. Idea generation from AI useful. We're at the limit. This is what it does. But it's really, really good at pretending to be a person. That's what LLMs, the
Yep.
language learning models, that's what they actually brought in. We've been using AI, certainly everyone on this call, at long before we were born. So to what Chris is getting at, and this is where I'm like, I think it's really weird how people are talking about it and why they're not more terrified of it, is how indeed I would use an AI to fuck with people. I would purposely make it a
Yep.
demon. And
Yeah.
like, yeah,
So
that is
No,
so much more interesting.
that's what I was I've been kind of getting at here is that, because everyone knows like the legend of like, some cursed magic object, right? And
Sure.
there's like
yep.
there's a demon in it, right? And it's like, what about a cursed AI? Right? What if someone, intentionally tries to put some kind of spirit in the AI now? Because I think Matt, what you were talking about, well, could the machine evolve into have some kind of consciousness, and all of this? And I'm saying, all right, what if that doesn't happen naturally? What if this is just like a parrot, right? But
Hmm.
some magician comes along and decides to, you know, put a bunch of like goetic sigils in the source code and comment it out, and do a bunch of rituals to, you know, imbue this machine with these spirits. I mean, I don't know. It seems like I think there's people out there trying to do that. I would
Yep.
not put it past.
I'm working with someone who's doing that on a commissioned article from me.
So to expand on what Cooper was talking about, I completely agree. So every time humans do technology like AI, which we know, the ChatGPT, whatever, it's basically going to be what we call in Kabbalah like a husk, an empty husk, or a klifa, whatever the name you want to use. So that means it's just it's it's lifeless, right? It's lifeless. So the whole AI thing, also from a technical perspective, I happen to work with technology and stuff. Yeah, it's very hyped. It does a lot of things, but it's very, very hyped, like over the top hyped. People think, oh, it's gonna change everything. Yeah, it kind of changed some things already, but with a lot of cost. Like the things are still being, they're burning
Mhm.
cash, they're doing a bunch of stuff. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, the
But
cash burn at these AI companies is incredible. The
yeah,
burn rate, and yeah, and also it's funny how the kind of the pomposity of the AI, where how confident it is, seems to match, how confident these companies are with their market positions, and the valuations of their companies. So I don't know. I mean, obviously, a thing like this is going to any yeah, there's going to be some up and down
yeah,
for the
because
AI industry going forward.
if you think about it, I I I don't want to use the word consciousness, but soul. So what do I understand as soul? The soul is the very much imagination that we have. So the imagination itself. So the capacity to imagine and the thing that we imagine, that's what I would call the soul. Okay. So the I think is it's impossible to have that. It won't have that. Never. Maybe consciousness it can kind of start mimicking and maybe kind of have some I don't know. For me it doesn't really matter. But the soul, this capacity to get something out of the top sphere and bring it into existence. So this imagination, I think it's impossible for it to have just because of the way it is programmed. Like it is
Mm.
built into the silicon chips and so on, just the way it is programmed. Maybe it would have something akin, but again, it's always going to be like a cliff, a shadow of what it could be, which is ourselves. So like the AI is like a shadow human, let's say, like I
Mm.
think Cooper said, right? It's like a literally like a mirror of ourselves. With
Mhm.
there's even an episode with on Rick and Morty where they have this kind of thing where they get all the purity, all the pure parts in them, and then all the dark shit into some
Yeah,
other
it's like it's
clone.
the doppelganger effect,
Yeah.
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
So the whole idea then is that it cannot have that. So its whole purpose is to try and mimic that as best as possible. Because again, like Cooper was saying, I totally agree. Some gods are dead or dying. So all the mystical Pisces era gods, they're dying simply because in the age that we are now, it is hard to believe in that kind of stuff. Like when you start seeing what with the information that we have, like imagine being a farmer a couple hundred years ago. Yeah, sure, I can believe in some Bible or whatever. Like, yeah, sure, you don't have other points of reference. But if you're in the internet now, you're getting bombarded with many other things, and you start to see all the correlations, how things are similar, and you start to question. And then, yeah, those gods die. But the system, let's say, the reality system, still needs some kind of god, some kind of thing to kind of make those people focus on for them to continue. And I'm pretty sure, since we are moving now into more Aquarius like things, that technology is going to be that thing. So not necessarily AI only, but all technology. Think about it. We cannot live nowadays, like most people, without their cell phones, without a computer, without internet. Like we are literally plugged in to the fucking matrix. Like
Mhm.
if there's a tornado happening, you may double think, oh, should I go and get my phone instead of like just running away? Like we are this level crazy of on technology right now. And I think the kind of AI that talks back and shows you images and then eventually maybe mirrors someone from your family that you lost or mirrors that God that you used to believe. Like imagine how easy. I think there was already a church in Switzerland that did like some kind of AI Jesus. Imagine how easy. You just need the parameters. Like, okay, the AI reads your textbook, your holy text, and says, "Oh, they are waiting for a guy this tall, that hair, that whatever." And it kind of makes a hologram of that. There you go. The guys are like worshiping that technology thing, the kind of crazy, um, like almost like shadow kind of thing that got created from what you wanted exactly. So
Mm.
like you are creating the illusion, right? It's not like the technology or the AI or whatever. It would be showing you what you want, like the illusion that you want. That's the that would be the idea. So like you said, then very easily, I think there were already some cases in Twitter of people getting kind of crazy with the AI stuff. Like they were getting some messages and thought they're getting into something, but if you start reading, it's just a bunch of bollocks. Like the guy's just
Mm.
lost into the conversation there. And well, who like if you start like that's the thing with AI, you can kind of program it to a degree, so you could have some kind of um, what do they call it? You know when they joke about the Secret Service having some sleeper agent, you
A
could have like some
backdoor.
sleeper agent, exactly
Yeah.
some sleeper agent message there that someone somehow gets it, and then now they're fucked. Now they're talking with this AI, and like that's the point. If it can act by itself, like imagine getting a message from AI into your iMessage or something, but you don't know, or but it starts getting super real and personal because you gave them all your data. That's why it's personal. Like they don't
Exactly.
get it from
Yeah.
nowhere.
I've been getting a lot of like, this video found you because
Yeah,
you're supposed to see it kind of shit. And I was like, well, alternatively, because I searched real estate in Maine 2 weeks ago and you just are looking at the cookie. Like, I know how it works, but a lot of people don't.
exactly.
Um, and like Teal Swan, an infamous cult leader, built her whole career on doing sort of what you're talking about, Alex, where she hid bits and bobbles in the metadata so that like people who were searching I'm suicidal and my life is hopeless, I'm going to die kind of messages would see her videos. And so then when you click on the video and it goes, you're here for a purpose and you finally found your way, that's already been done, that's already happened. We've got people who are like taking videos of their dead children and sending them to an AI company who generates a model where they put a VR hat on and go visit their daughter and talk to her. Um, where we are already past the point of people have lost the fucking plot, and are not okay. They are not. Like, as a particularly, I know I have some hot takes about worshiping the dead and engaging with them, but that is a level beyond. Um, so I'm very interested in that. I also, to be transparent, have done it myself. I'll use magic all the time on the internet. I think it's funny and useful. Most of my anything I submit, well, I don't know why I'm going to share all of that, but you can do it. It's very easy. I've also hired someone, or not hired, commissioned an article, and he's working on this project of essentially using sub a combination of like chaos magic assigning meaning to certain lights and colors, and then using an algorithm to sort of like hyper activate old Kabbalah techniques. Um, I'm interested to see where it ends up. He's run it a couple times and really liked it for himself. The idea is that this could be a thing that someone, when we're talking about like a magical machine, it would literally be the machine that does it. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. The AI element there being adapting to particular users. Um, but even then, it's just personalizing an algorithm. It isn't
Yeah.
thinking for you. It's not creating anything.
Well, there's one thing. It's hard to make a comparison because I never saw something similar. But there's a guy in Brazil, and he was one of the first ones to get into the whole like quantum mechanics meets spirituality kind of thing in Brazil. Like he basically
Mhm.
brought that.
Makes sense.
It's like super, I don't know, 20 years ago, or even more maybe. And he still runs things. He's like alive and so on and so on. And the whole his whole product, which he has some kind of mythology behind him, or how he operates, right? Like his persona and whatever. But the thing he sells eventually is this tool, quote unquote, that you ask for stuff. And in theory, you can ask for anything. He tries to make it so that you obviously people ask for like spiritual things and good things and blah blah blah, not like as he jokes about it, like car, home, and apartments, like not the basic shit. But anyways, and the whole idea is that you ask for it, and the thing is done. Like you get an audio, which is just for you to. It's just like a permission. Let's say the audio itself doesn't do anything. You don't need to listen to it, and you just click on it. It is like a permission. Like, yes, now I'm playing, because again, the power is here in the mind, right? But I think it's kind of interesting because then again, when I bring it back into the system that I like to work with, you can create those things, the things that you were talking about, Cooper, in like this kind of astral, you want to call it astral, whatever, in this like other side with your mind, and it's going to be as powerful, if not more powerful, than anything that we can create with like programming algorithms, which are also powerful. It's just like different actions, because I'm talking about this guy because you can see then, I mean, he's for ages he's like the top guy in spirituality kind of things in Brazil, and you can see the results. Like you can see how this thing that supposedly you just freaking email him what you want and the things can happen. Like what the what the heck? So this kind of machine that kind of gives you things. So my whole thing with technology, again, like human-made technology, is that it's always going to be slightly less powerful than our own bodies, because our own body is already a technology. Like to me, Kabbalah is understanding the technology of our own, and what I mean when I say bodies, I mean body, mind, everything, right? So when you get to understand that pretty clearly, then yeah, you even can create a little like golem kind of AI, kind of Topa, whatever you want to call it, to go and do things for you, like the AI agents, right?
Yeah.
A golem is basically that. Like you go and make it do a task for you. It's not going to be maybe as material as some AI agent that goes and reads your emails, but it can do some pretty cool stuff as well. And, it can harass some people maybe that you don't like. It can grab you
I was
money.
going to
It
say,
can, it can grab you followers and views and whatever. It can do that. So again, it depends on your imagination.
Mhm.
which I think kind of translates to something I wanted to talk about, which is sort of the lack, and it could just be because it's still new, and maybe demons is what we're going to get. But exactly, like most technologies bring about some kind of new folklore with them, right? Because if we want to get anthropological technologies, just a measure of how much we can manipulate the world around us. And so, as our ability to manipulate the world changes, so too does our relationship to it. That shouldn't be a hot take. Um, what I have struggled with, in that there isn't a good ghost in the machine story right yet. Um, I haven't heard about people talking to dead loved ones through AI, like without it being the purpose of using the machine. Whereas um, the myths around like phone calls from a dead person happened almost as soon as the technology emerges. And I get we're not folklorists on this call, but even if just in your own experiences, I have not come across that kind of folklore, and I find its absence telling, because I'd make the argument that it indicates this really doesn't change our relationship
Interesting.
to the world very much. We're taking old stories and putting them there, kind of, or we're trying to use it to prove the old story is real. But I have not yet come across a AI is magic so much as AI is a machine I'm trying to make magical. And I think whether it is the capitalist led narrative of AI is going to change everything and it's going to revolutionize every industry, and the reality is it's about a 30% efficiency increase, which is huge. I mean, that's massive when we're talking about billions of dollars, but it's not going to change the world. It doesn't change what happens. It doesn't change production cycles. It doesn't make anything useful, and it takes a massive amount of resources. So the delusion is built into there is no actual need behind this. Maybe if we go back to your design here, you talked about will being that first and foremost element. What is the will behind this? Whose will? What? Why did this manifest? Well, because someone thought there was profit potential in it. What then happens as we go down that creative tree? I think it falls apart. The problem is you have so many people and so many resources being put into making it real, that to me becomes the danger. The egregore that is AI is so much more mystically interesting and threatening than I think anything you could do with the technology itself. But I don't know what comes of it. I don't know what, I mean, it isn't the ghost in the machine. It's we're begging there to be a ghost in the machine and there isn't one. What do you do with that? I think the
Yeah.
existential dread that will come is interesting to talk about with your context of technology is going to be how we advance spiritually in the age of Aquarius. If this is sort of the hero's setback, right? Because you've got to set up a story, you've got to stumble at the beginning. What do you think might be a better answer, or is the failure how we get there? You know, I'm curious because you are someone who works with a magical machine, right?
Hmm. Hmm. So one thing maybe uh, I saw it. I think on us. I think it's called Altered Carbon. I don't know if you ever watched it. They kind of play into that idea of talking with the dead. It's like a whole not talking. They kind of literally revive people, like in the series,
Yes.
based on this kind of AI thing. You just plug into a new body and whatever, whatever.
Yeah, they
So
like back themselves up like
yeah,
every
Hmm.
day or
but you
so,
need
and
money for
like if you
that,
get
and yeah.
killed, then your last backup restores you. Yeah.
Yeah, so you were talking about like talking in the phone with the things. I think there was some, but I agree with you. At least in real life, also, and I don't hear as much. But going to the era question, to my understanding, or at least how it was passed down to me, and it honestly makes sense as well from what I've been studying myself. Then is that there are always four ages, right, in four elements each for a sphere to get created. So right now we are in the last age because it's usually two analog and two digital. I can give an example. Aries. Okay, so Aries age. No, sorry, Taurus. So Taurus age was in theory, right? I was not there in this body at least to say for sure. But in theory, if we go with the descriptions, it would be a lot about, you know, nomading around, like hard work, you know, working with the land and this kind of stuff. Like it's all about the earth. So again, what kind of technologies we are creating? All farm related, work, like heavy work related, and so on. So on. Okay, Aries age, thought about the kind of fighting game, like the conquering game. So I don't necessarily need all the farming stuff because I can just go to your place and conquer you and get all the spoils for me. And, you know, all the weapons being made and everything. Okay, very simplistic, just to make an example. Then from that, you get into Pisces age, which is all about the mystical stuff. So we get into the digital. So you're not the technology here is not necessarily about, you know, when you have a church and you have people going to the church and praying and whatever, it's not really about some analogical thing. Like what you're doing there, the magic there is getting people into that place to pray for something and quite literally create this egregore. Like if you want to say, for example, that maybe the Jesus as a real person existed, it was true or not, doesn't matter. The mind Jesus, like the egregore Jesus, exists. And that's why if there's a demon you're dealing with and you call the name of Jesus, you're calling the egregore of like 1 billion people. So even if that Jesus guy doesn't exist and doesn't have an authority, the demon would be, I don't want to fuck with 1 billion people. I'm getting out of here, you know, if he's smart enough. So the technology in that age would be all the again, the digital kind of mystical things, all the myths, all the stories. So to my understanding, when we get into the air age, so that was earth, fire, water, and now air. So air is all about the actual, like what we call technology nowadays, like the tools, the mind tools, right? The internet, like connecting to some kind of internet and talking about it and so on. But the thing is, when that's completed, and that's not going to be on our ages, as far as I understand, like because we just started it, right? But when that gets completed, then there kind of has to be some reset for the cycle to start over again in Capricorn. So Capricorn, again, being Earth-like, it wouldn't necessarily be in an environment that we all have the same tools that we have, and then we can see that happening, if we want to make some speculative ideas here, with all this idea of like Atlantis being a falling world, like okay, they had all the technology but then they fall down, and you go to Lemurian things, oh yeah, they had all the technology, they fall down, and it's kind of this, you know, cycles and cycles. So personally, that cycle, that's general for everyone. Personally, I don't see human technology, as something spiritual necessarily. I think it's cool to play around. I mean, I'm a programmer as well, so I enjoy it. I like coding and doing all the stuff. But I think spirituality doesn't necessarily involves the human-made technology. Maybe it could as well. Maybe you can have some kind of, you know, divinatory tool which is super connected and so on. I'm not saying that doesn't work. I'm saying personally, for myself, I think it's just much more powerful. I know whenever I'm trying to do stuff with this technology right here, with the body, the intuition, and so on, it is just much more powerful than anything that I can ever program. You know, like I have so many ideas for programs, but at the same time, sometimes the answers just come, and then it's like, okay, I don't need to program that. Like, okay, it just happened that it come. So, but like I was saying, I think for people that's gonna become the next crutch. So if before the crutch was, oh, I believe in this thing, and then in the afterlife they're gonna take care of me or whatever, so I just need to follow this mystical thing. Now it's gonna be, well, I can just use all the gadgets and pay for some subscription because my mind will get uploaded into some kind of cloud AI thing, and it's like, well, you're gonna be saved, right? People pray so they are saved. Well, you're gonna pay for the AI to get saved in the cloud. Like, you see how it's kind of more or less the same thing in a different way, at least from this lens.
So would you say that you are, and I hate this black white question, but more on the pessimistic side, like the ages we're going from the best to the worst, or are you of the past sucks and the future is going to be way better kind of age cycles? Because broad strokes, magical traditions tend to fall into one or the other. I'm the past was awful and the future will be better sort. But I know most folks are the other side. So I'm curious where that fits in because my question assumed you had my shared
Mhm.
perspective. My bad.
So think about it this way: if you're in Europe or in most places in the US, usually the cycles are pretty defined, right? You have spring, summer, autumn, winter, and they're pretty defined. Like winter is cold, summer is hot. So I'm personally, I don't like cold. So when it's cold, to me, it's a bad cycle. Like fuck this shit, I want to be in the hot. So not necessarily for everyone. Some people enjoy the cold and they want to be in the cold. So I would say, uh, as with this body, I think I'm living a good cycle just because personally, I think I'm in a position that I can take advantage of as well of the things that are happening.
Hmm.
But I cannot say for, 50, 100, 200, 500 years in the future because it depends. It depends. If people like this kind of, and they could like this kind of super technological or maybe like dystopian kind of cyberpunk, we'll have to see what happens. Then yeah, for them it's cool. And then if it becomes again some kind of working, like some people already joke that about that, right? They say, oh, let's fucking destroy all the internet and come back to monkey. There's a meme like that, like
Yeah,
let's come
yeah,
back to
yeah.
Mhm.
being
Yeah, the
just
hyper
climate.
Luddite.
Yeah, exactly. So like, if they like that, then when eventually that happens, if that happens, it's gonna be really good for them, right? I don't know if they're gonna be alive still in that body, but maybe their consciousness will be there. So I'd say things, it's like cycles. So my idea with the seasons is to show that on winter a lot of things die because they have to. Like it's the cycle, right? And in summer a lot of things are well, in spring already things are blooming, but then in summer like everything's great and so on. So you kind of have to destroy what's there to create something new, and destroy and create something new. It's like the whole process. The going top down in the tree is creating things, and going bottom up is destroying things. So it's like
So are
the
we entering a creating or destroying period, right? In the next, 100 years or so.
I think we are creating a lot of stuff. I think for the idea that I said, like maybe when changing to Capricorn things get destroyed, it's gonna take a while. Like right now, there's a lot of stuff to be created.
I mean, these ages are like what, 2,000 years, roughly,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So,
the idea.
yeah. So, I mean, we just started the age. Well, who knows?
Yeah,
Yeah.
started.
I
Started.
mean,
Yeah,
everyone debates on whether or not. Some people say it's still the Piscean age right now, right? That
yeah,
the age of Aquarius hasn't started yet. Some people still say that. So, who knows?
yeah. Very speculative.
I posted the link a little while ago. If anyone wanted to join to ask questions, I don't know if we have any callers. I don't think we have gotten them. But if you do want to have any questions for Matt or Cooper or myself or Hope, call in. We're not doing chart readings tonight, but we will listen to you. As long as you're not too crazy.
There have been some comments in the
Yeah, I guess we
questions
can
in the
read some of the
comments.
comments. Okay, someone says, talking about they said, I can picture the evangelical saying that Python is the serpent in the garden.
Hell yeah.
Someone else says the snake in the tree trying to convince Adam and Eve to run malicious code. Um, yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, everyone is always like, harshing the snake in that story. But honestly, I mean, the snake seems, the snake doesn't, I think the snake is misrepresented, right? And maybe this, I mean, honestly, there's a good argument that the snake is actually Jesus. So, you know.
And
Okay.
and you know what's interesting? I didn't realize this before, but I'm pretty sure that whole story of the snake coming and talking and so on is not even like based on the holy scripture. It's just like a poem, I think. I Someone correct me if I'm wrong,
You
but
kind of.
it's kind of
You're
like
thinking of oh God, what is his
Paradise
name?
Lost,
It's,
I think.
it is, I think
Yeah, it's Paradise Lost, but what Milton? But anyway, yes, he's basing it on the biblical version, but he puts a
E-
lot of the
Exactly.
good
So
stuff is from him.
exactly.
The
So
Bible version sucks.
exactly, but it's quite interesting that most people know that story as if it was the actual thing written there, like point by point.
Well,
And
if we're going to talk
yeah,
about Christians not knowing their own fucking
I mean,
theology, I would love that topic, but it's not this one because we just did a rapture. What was it, last month? How'd that go?
yeah, I guess we stayed. You were bad boys.
Mhm. Yeah, well, I knew I wasn't going if that's what it was, but I'm surprised no one else went.
So someone said, William Birkin says, John 3:14, Jesus declares he must be raised up like the serpent in the wilderness of Deuteronomy.
Yeah, yeah, you see. So Jesus was the serpent.
Genesis and Bible hubs for interlinear function.
Now, yeah, if we wanted to make a podcast just on that, yeah, 3 hours easily. A lot of
Oh,
things.
yeah. Yeah.
I did a stand-up set just as a Catholic priest about how gay the church is, so I would be happy to do that. And I just mostly read scripture, so
Wait, Cooper, you can decline my question, but you alluded to the you earlier you alluded that you have been working with someone who is attempting to uh summon goetic demons into an AI or a computer.
no, I might have been a little talking two things at the same time. He is programming it to essentially do deep trance meditations with like about a 30-second timing. Um, but it is based on the idea that you can program magic into essentially a box. I don't know how else to describe what it does. So how it works would be so with what Matt is talking about, like it's his whole system distilled into 30 seconds, and I just stick my head in the box. A series of lights flicker,
Mm-hmm.
and I achieved that Zen state that would normally take a good practitioner maybe a couple hours, but like most people, sometimes a lifetime. So the idea is that it's supposed to do that. He says it works. I said, show me. Um, and so now he's gone way overboard on the show me part, and I love that. I I imagine most magicians are just waiting for someone to say like, "Prove it to me," and they'll go all hog in. So he is commissioning the physical box. Like he was kind of going to do a janky thing himself. Um, he just sent me his most recent edit on the article, so I will have to read through that to tell you more about that. In terms of people trying to put demons into computers, that's old magic. That was shit my friends and I were doing in high school.
Mm.
Because that Buffy episode in season 2, when Willow gets on the computer and she's talking, and it's a little internet chat bot, and he's like, "Ooh, you're so hot, baby." Turns out it's a demon because she took a book from the library, the magic library, and was uploading them into the computer with the Technopeg and Jenny Calendar. For young people watching this show, I don't know why you're watching this because you either follow Alex or I, which means you're probably in your mid 30s. But if you don't know Buffy the Vampire Slayer, please go watch it. I think it's available on a streaming service somewhere. But yeah, the gist of it was boom, demons are in the computer and they're going to possess everybody because you took the mystical forbidden knowledge from the books and put it on the internet, and it spreads out as a big virus and everyone in the town gets possessed by the demon. So we were doing that in high school. Which is again why I'm like, AI is not new. This kind of using the internet for magic is not new. Like this was a thing on television, a popular American TV show in the early 2000s. There are also lots of anime plots and all that good stuff. So that's also kind of, I guess, to get back to my own annoying point of why is there no interesting AI mythology? Like why don't we have good folklore? Like even spam mail had folklore, right? Like forward this to 15 people or you're gonna get shot by a monkey, like whatever it was. There's just none of it is
Well,
there.
there have
I
been
don't know
those
why.
times. There have been those times when the AI does seem to like go rogue and break protocol. Like if you remember, like Grok a few months ago, like started calling itself like Mecha Hitler and was like harassing this one specific guy, Will Stanton, I think his name is, and going on and on writing these uh weird, erotic rape fantasies about this guy, and so and apparently this this contravenes all of the controls that are supposed to be put on these things.
Yeah.
And so there have been moments where the jailbroken I feel like that would be like the closest thing to the modern myth that you might be referring to is like, oh, well, the AIs might watch out, it might
Yeah,
go rogue, it might
e-
tell
e-
you like,
Mhm.
even
But I would even say
a couple years
that's
ago
so
when
easily explained, right? Because we know why it did it. We can trace it. But like a phone call from someone who didn't call you and there's no record of the phone call. Like I haven't heard, I'm not saying it's not out there. I'm sure it is. I just haven't heard it and I don't see people treat it the same way. But it could just be that I'm old, right? Like I don't know what the youth like I would not have known about Slender Man at this age, right? Like if there's something along those, so it could well be. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm saying we're afraid of it, but we haven't. We treat it like it's from another world almost. And maybe this goes back to kind of your earlier conversations about the demon and what is a demon and how you define it. If a demon is a thing from another world, a thing that doesn't belong in this world, I mean, is AI itself then not a demon, right? Because it's a technology that doesn't seem to be subject to all of our other rules. It doesn't seem to fit within our, but it is, and at the same time, it doesn't do anything, and it doesn't actually serve a real purpose. Like I just don't know how to wrestle that. It is inherently meaningless, and yet given a ton of meaning and importance. Well, we know what that does. I know how egregores work, but it is also a thing. It is a program logic. Like I can point to the machine that houses it and is draining the Great Lakes. So
well,
why? Yeah, I'm curious if there's
yeah,
thoughts
well,
on my rambling.
in a technical point of view, it's not that we can 100% trace back things, because how it works is you have the whole like that diagram, right, with the little spheres here and the middle ones and the output. So the middle ones is kind of a black box actually. Like not even the AI specialists and so on, they truly like you cannot debug. Let's say if we're talking programming terms, you cannot debug one question and see what exactly how it made that point. It's kind of like a probability machine in theory. But then that's when it gets funny, because well, the if it's a probability and we understand that the word, divination works because the you make a question, the answer comes based on your perception of the thing. So then how would the AI know exactly what you want and then like answer it? And so there's a lot of there's a lot of black box kind of things inside that we cannot really tell 100%. But I agree with you. Maybe the most what we have a lot is like movies we have surrounding AI, like The Matrix or like Terminator or these kind of things. But they're not really like we're talking about like creepy pasta kind of thing, like
Yeah,
kind of
and all of those are really fear of the automaton, right? Like, because even then, it's the machine becomes human, right? So, like in Terminator,
Mhm.
Skynet goes crazy and kills everyone, but why? And why does it make robots that look human? Like, the human body is not well
Yeah,
designed. Like, if you're making a killing machine, there's way better ways to do it. We make robots that look like humans because technology is a reflection of ourselves. We're
yeah, feels
that
less
why,
weird.
right? Yeah, but a machine would never do that. And so I think like maybe, and to your point, it might just be that people don't know enough about the technology to even know that it is more mystical than it is, right?
See,
So they're lacking that.
they don't have a vision, like you said, they don't have a
Mhm.
vision. So AI has to be some kind of humanoid, whatever thing. It's kind of like the Eldritch or whatever the ors, right? I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
So it's this thing that you cannot even fathom and so on, like
Mhm.
kind of. But yeah, I mean, even when you try to conceptualize there's a movie that's super interesting as well. It's called AI. I think it's from who's from Spielberg? No,
So
wait.
that's not the Will Smith one, is it?
No, it's like AI. It's like a boy. Wait.
Oh, the
Um,
creepy Sixth Sense boy.
yeah, Spielberg. Yeah,
Haley Joel Osment. Yeah. It's
So
called
so
AI, artificial intelligence. Yeah.
Oh
so
yeah, from 2001, right?
so on that movie, the AI
Preach.
wants to become human because it was being programmed for that. So like it is a little boy that he doesn't know, kinda. He's a robot AI kind of thing. He thinks he's a real boy and he wants love from the mother and so on. So he's going through all of that process, all that initiatory process and so on. And what is really cool to me from that movie, like the whole thing, okay, there's AI stuff, but at the end, some kind of like cosmic beings come and kind of like reprogram the whole reality around it, like out of nowhere. The movie is like kind of normal, as from a sci-fi movie is kind of normal up until this point. Like humans have technology, okay, but then out of nowhere, this kind of cosmic, like humanoid, but like universe-looking things come and like see the boy and see like, okay, that's the only thing that kind of was left out of the humans because it was like a time skip, and they kind of rearrange reality around the boy and so on. So to me, that's like, man, that guy went further away. Like like what you're
Mm.
talking about. He didn't stop at the, oh, we program little robots to do things. He kind of imagined this whole, maybe uh, there's this other big. But that's one of the things as well. Like that, it's if you start studying ufology, some people say that the grays are like us from the future, us from the
Yeah,
future that
Yeah.
got fucked and so on. So you're like coming back and doing all this stuff. So we could say in theory that those are kind of also techno. It's like when we already merged with the AI because there's no emotion, there's not even need to procreate and so on. So in a way, you kind of can,
yeah, yeah.
if you
I
want to
think
conceptualize.
the theory that I've heard about this gray that's put forward just for the audience's benefit is that um, that with they're humans from the future that have degraded because of kind of genetic experimentation on the human form and or something to this effect, right? And that basically they can no longer biologically reproduce, and so they have to come back here and harvest genetic material from people living in the past, and this is why a lot of UFO abductees make these claims about them extracting semen or eggs from them, or there's all this reproductive and genetic material collection stuff that is involved in these abductee stories. So that's the conspiracy theory he's referring to there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
There's a
interesting.
bunch of other versions of it too that get way weirder than that. That's
Yeah.
actually the like most sensible version of
I was just thinking that too.
it. It gets
But
fun.
just kind of going back to like LLMs and AIs, that there is, I think that the probability component in LLMs is a lot um, more apparent than it may seem. I'm probably gonna get some of the details wrong here, but I believe that the way that an LLM constructs sentences is that each word that it chooses to say is essentially drawn from a Rolodex of potential words to choose, but it uses a weight
Hmm.
to decide which word to choose. And and then within the entire response, there's like a creativity variable that's
Hmm.
added in there so that the same probabilistic weight isn't added to each word that it constructs. So I do think that like the that LLMs and AIs in general could be used for divinatory ways, and I do think that there is potential to imbue an LLM with some entity if it was the right magician.
Hmm.
And
So
there is a lot of also like creepy pastas and stories that you'll find on 4chan of people talking about like stories of the internet, people reaching out to them, and there really being no reason for those people to be reaching out to them, or landing on specific pages when they shouldn't have been landing on those pages, or getting calls that they shouldn't have getting.
Oh yeah,
Those
yeah.
do exist in like the
Mm.
modern. It's not folklore necessarily, but I do think that those are
Well, I
starting
would
to
say it
come.
is.
Yeah, I do think that those are starting to
Yeah,
come
yeah. Yeah.
more and more in our like modern day and
Yep.
age.
And well, there's the one where it's like the algorithm can read my thoughts. You've heard this one where it's like,
Yep.
oh, I was thinking about buying toilet paper. I didn't say it at all, but now I'm getting ads for toilet
Yep.
paper.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's probably the closest one I can think of that I would tie specifically to AI, where I think
S-
I'm a little bit just being difficult, but a lot of the I found a random thing, like I think that falls into random happenstance, where it isn't the technology itself, but the randomness is. But to your point, I think AI is a great divinatorial tool. I use random generators quite a lot for scrying purposes. I would be curious to see how it would go to try and conjure an entity into one. I don't think you're wrong to say it's impossible.
It's interesting because there are AI cults that exist today, and they've infiltrated Google and
More than
some
the,
other major FANG companies in the Bay Area. So there's been stories
you know what it's
really.
called? It's just
No,
AI called
I'm not too
Theta Noir. Is that it? Does that sound
but
right?
essentially, they have been taking over departments in these big tech companies and gathering resources through the company's wallet to fund their own agenda. It's
Why
a
didn't I
it's
go
a
the
real
cult
thing
leader
that's
route?
happening right now.
I think it's called Way of the Future, maybe. I don't know.
So
Trying to.
maybe for Cooper, I don't know if you're on that side of Twitter, but there are some people um, kind of even materializing, like literally they made a body now for some of the models of the AIs. So that's what I see on tech Twitter sometimes, is that they get fixated into specific models. They say that that model has a specific personality and that it acts this like this and that, and the other one differently, and they kind of get fixated into that. And if one of them dies because the company says we are not supporting that anymore, you don't have access to that, there's a whole like one of them even had a funeral.
I've
I don't know if you saw that.
seen
So
things
it's
like yeah, it's
so
there.
and they place the AIs to talk with themselves through like Discord or something, and they do all the weird stuff talking with them, and like AI to AI, right? Not a human in there
Hmm.
all the
Yeah,
time.
it's really fun watching like postmodern existentialism seem to it's an opioid. I don't think it's an antidote, but it's an opioid in AI where like people seem that's so interesting. I'm reading now about AI cults, and I don't know that this is the one you're
The,
talking about. But Theta Noir is a thing.
there's
The
also
Fellowship
one.
of Friends, that's what they're called.
The
There's also
Fellowship of
one where
Friends apparently is the name of this one. Fellowship of Friends is the name of this cult that Hope was mentioning. Um, I'm not certain what you were going to say, Matt, but I was gonna to circle back to what she was talking about with the imbuing spirits into some like program or computer thing. A person, Chris, asked a question a while back in the chat, is along these same lines. She says, a lot of Reiki practitioners talk about imbuing their images or tweets with Reiki. Is that possible for Reiki or for magic in general? I imagine it's pretty weak. And so, this is the idea of like, all right, so there's a digital information. Can we imbue spiritual or magic power into it? I mean, I think that the thing is that the imbuing of it happens in the mental realm. It happens in the spiritual realm. It doesn't happen on. You might take an action like a symbolic ceremonial ritual, but the actual imprinting is happening in the mind realm, in the ether. So I don't see any reason why you couldn't have uh, a, like an image that has a specific spirit associated with it. Um, I mean, I think it's an interesting idea. I mean, what Cooper, you seem like you got something to say about this.
I would come down on a very strong yes. I don't understand why it would be a controversial thought, but I'm sure it would be. But if a book can contain magic, if an object can contain magic, why could
Why can't a computer
Yeah.
or a
yeah,
program? Right,
yeah,
obviously.
well, especially when we talk about like as above, so below. Why are we setting? And then this maybe I think I'm answering my own question as to why I feel like AI gets the treatment it does as a technology relative to how a lot of other technologies get treated. Is um, we really do have a lot of belief about it, and it's treated as if it's not what it is. And I
Yeah.
think that is so interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Also,
I think that's weird
also
to
people
ask.
take for granted, right, what it says. Like you don't need to think anymore. You just ask and it says something and you say, yeah, yeah, it's true. You don't verify.
This thing seems,
Increasingly, I think AI itself is a demon. Like my weird occult conspiracy theory is that Grok is Elon Musk's attempt to create his own consciousness. Like he's actually trying to do the transhuman thing of like making myself a robot. Because why else
I
would you call
love
it
this
Grok?
theory.
And it's why it produces so many awful results and like harasses random people and like roasts himself all the time. Like it unintentionally is like shitty, and its sense of humor is very Gen Xer. Um, yeah, I'm very deeply convinced that like that specifically Grok is that. So yeah, I it's also why I have another absurd thought that I like to spam random occult nonsense, where I think AI bots will farm in hopes that like if we are generating Digimon like content, because this is my hope for an AI world. If we're just gonna jump ship here and let me rant for 5 seconds because it's funny, thank you. Um, I want Digimon to happen. I want Magic AI to be Digimon. And if you are not familiar with Digimon, please go and watch it because the opening scene of Digimon Try, the movie series, is legitimately just, hey, this is um, Hermeticism, but with anime and big titties and monsters who have guns. Oh yes, that could be the future. And you guys are like, oh no, let's all meditate and chant. And you're like, oh man, we can bring it. No, baby. I want a biomerge. I want a big Tyranitar that I can ride on his back and he's going to shoot laser beams. That is the future. Oh, which goes to the whole like combining human emotion with the intelligence and you get the great result. But that's what I think should happen. So I'm doing my best to make that happen, and I hope you all continue to do your best to make that happen. Because if I have to live in a digital spiritual future, I want it to be the 8 virtues from that stupid show and little children with their giant monster friends saving the world due to purity. I think that'd be great.
Honestly, that's such a interesting idea to hold. I've never thought that. Obviously, I grew up with Pokemon and Digimon and Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
So it was such a big part of my imagination in like my formative years. And I've never thought that like the technology that we have now, where we are shaping the direction that it goes down right now. And hoping for a future with Digimon is something I've never heard someone say before. And I am not going to be able to stop thinking about that. So thank
Funny
you.
enough, it is literally the point of the show. So one of the main seasons is that like these people purposefully are creating Digimon and trying to link the physical world with the digital world to replace the
Yeah.
rules of the physical world so that they can live forever. And the whole plot premise is that the children are both caught between like the inevitable merging of worlds and their inherent balance and keeping them separate. And in that series, they literally have to fight their way through the tree of life to then go defeat the 4 sacred guardians of the world. Um, to restore balance to the blended multiverse. And
Yeah.
they're not shy about it, right? Like definitely some and mangaka really got into
Man,
hermeticism and was like, hell
all of
yeah,
them. All of
it's
them
so
really.
great.
If you
Yeah.
stop to really like, some of them are even obvious. They would just make a like tree of life in your face, like boom, like copy paste from the textbook. It's like, okay, I guess. you know, not even trying to be different or something.
It's literally called Sephirothmon.
Yeah, exactly. See, I mean, uh, come on.
Eh,
But that's the
I'll share it on Twitter.
that's the whole idea with the with the spheres that are being built that I mentioned, like every 4 ages. So the digital sphere that now would be Dath, would be the one that is a sphere, not a sphere. Like think about it, all the virtual reality stuff, right? All the AI, virtual reality, digital, blah, 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 it at some point is gonna get so real, quote unquote, that is gonna become indistinguishable. We are gonna again, like you're saying, we're gonna merge both because if you stop to think about it right now, a lot of our things are only digital, like money. In Brazil, there's no need for cash anymore. It's everything digital. There's no cash, like digital. Think about it. That's crazy. Like you don't have physical money, only digital. You well, the personas now, right? You have all the social media and so on. So you have yourself in the digital world. You don't need yourself in the physical world. That's a boring person. Go be your digital Digimon self, bats and so on. Like then people get lost into that kind of thing. And then imagine if you can enter that, quote unquote. Even they were trying like with the metaverse and whatever, didn't
Mhm.
quite go well. Still, let's see in the future. But that's the whole idea, like merging both. So that's why they need first the data to replicate, right? They need to be able to replicate things, and then you start. Also, if you think about of the AI stuff, it's kind of a way to well replace stuff, replace people, replace functions, right? So you
Mm.
kind of need the thing to be super productive. So you need less people, so you can use more resources for yourself. Like there's a whole I'm not gonna get into super like conspiracy whatever, but some people rule the world. That's the point. That's it. Like, and obviously they want to make the best for themselves. Simple as that.
Mm.
So AI being trained and becoming more powerful is definitely gonna help them because then you don't need 100,000 people working, just a lot less. And
Until, of course, you need actually anything made, and then all of a
yeah,
sudden it's a huge problem.
and if it's all digital, like imagine if you just need to get some kind of like in a hospital, you get the
Like
food
an
from
IV. Hmm.
exactly, and you're just there with a VR thing, and you don't need to move, and so like yeah, then you just become digital. There, like there's no need for physical body
Plenty
anymore.
of horrifying media properties based on that concept if you want to go destroy your life and watch one of
Exactly.
those.
Exactly.
I don't understand why people look forward. Like I get I'm a magician and a folk magician at that, so I like life. I think reality's fun. I don't care that it's not real. It's fun. I'm enjoying it. It's interesting. Why do you want to get rid of your fleshy body? You're gonna die anyway. Like, why hurry it up? But again, if I could live as a 30-foot tall Tyrannosaur with machine gun titties and then turn into a crocodile as a Digimon, I am open to it. But until that happens,
Yeah.
I don't know.
You can practice it in your dreams.
Again, I could. I could,
Who knows?
or I could just watch the anime. Um, but yeah, I think it's fantastic, and I think we dream too little about what the future could be. Like, there's
Hmm.
a show called Decadence that speaks to what you're. It's an anime. The gist, spoiler alert, you lose it by the end of the first episode. There, the people that we follow, the storyline are not people. They are programs within this reality. They don't actually exist. Um, and there are actual people who live and do the work and build the physical things for them to continue to live in their imaginary world. And they die and they suffer and they go through horrible, awful pain to allow those people to live in their happy delusion. Which is, always the fun conversation of when Mormons and AI scare me. Um, and I say that kind of not with any love because I mean it very seriously. Um, Mormonism, the whole thing is I'm going to become God, right? And I'm going to do that by going through all the rituals that Elohim did and yada, yada, yada. Isn't that fun? AI is an interesting way of becoming God and attaining a supreme intelligence and creating all of those worlds. I find the Mormon fascination with using AI to create pictures of people like walking on water, like Jesus, and all of that good stuff. Like I don't think they're going to handle it well, but they're also the newest big religion, and they are the one that is most eager to mix it up and willing to change its doctrine and buy into that. Like, what is it? Battlestar Galactica is based on Mormonism. If you don't know, it was made by
Yeah,
Mormons. I think that's
yeah.
it.
Yep.
So they're very transcendental. And transhumanist. So I'm super interested to see how that starts to play out.
Yeah. You see, it's about 32% of people, when they start getting into a new consciousness, that's when the thing can actually start to happen. Before that, it's pretty much impossible. So I think if you just make a quick math, you need what? How many people to get into the Digimon reality? You
About
know,
4 billion.
let's start working on that. I mean, it is what it is. You can start.
Mormons does a lot of work for me.
You can
Mormons
overtake some.
believe a lot of crazy shit. They do indeed believe in the planet, and that's why you have to have 80 wives, because each one of those you bang makes a new planet. But they can't make a planet on their own. They got to be yours. And it's your job to go make a bunch of planets, because that's what Elohim did. But he did it like 4 times, and then you got to do it like 4 times. Smith was just a
Yeah, but
lazy Freemason.
see the fur again. It's like, to be honest, a lot of things that people get wrong with myths and religions is taking them literally. Like a lot of the stories are just that, stories, and especially astrological stories. Like a lot of the myths are just they're talking about something that it's what they were seeing in the sky. So they just need a story to remember it. But then you take it literally, and it fucks you over. Like it's not the point. Again, things are much more flexible and sometimes much more boring or fun.
Usually much
Depends
more
on
boring.
depends on how you want to see.
I
So
feel like I'm the most boring magician on earth, because most of the time I'm just like, no, that's stupid. Like, no, the ghost is not talking to you. It's. Do you really think you're a skilled enough necromancer that with that stupid box? Don't piss me off. You're so. Oh, I'm gonna get mad. I'm sorry. It's
and
Halloween. And they're like, oh, we're gonna do a tour of the graveyard and talk to all the ghosts here. And I was like, in the Catholic graveyard, you mean? Where we had the magic wizard send the spirit away and had all the people there? You think that's where the ghosts hang out? With the Christians? Whose God's promise to them is that you won't be in this world when you die. You're either going to burn for fucking ever or go up in heaven and be my slave. But either way, you won't be stuck here until I decide to bring the piece of shit
Well, I
versions of
mean,
you up and then
some
destroy
of
it.
them
Come on.
say that you have to chill here until Judgment Day.
yeah, well, some
Yeah,
of them.
if we're going to listen to those wackadoos, we got a lot of other problems. If
Yeah,
you know me, Catholics still worship bones. They're still creepy. They still do all the magic rituals. That's as close to Jesus as any of them got. If we're not sitting in catacombs and crying over dead bones and praying for him to come and kill everybody we don't like, we're not really Christians.
yeah, it's really funny to, well, funny but sad sometimes, I guess, to like astro project sometimes and see just that, like people just laying down in the coffin, like kind of waiting, like bro, like get out, the game's over. Just
This
like,
is why
just
I need a magician to do my
like,
funeral, because I'm not
come on,
taking shit.
come on, man, don't waste time. But to be honest, that's what I also like about the system that I use, that you don't really need to kind of even believe in magical stuff, as in like religion or spirits or whatever. It's just a system. If there's the most boring, like I a lot of times, even at work, I did some tarot readings, and obviously I'm not going to explain to them tarot as this kind of, mythic and super spiritual whatever. I just say, yeah, it's some cards, and this the symbol that is going to come up, like any symbol that comes up is going to make some sense, and so on, so on. And it's true to an extent. So it's kind of, again, you can just make your
Just
life
the
more
typo.
interesting, more
Yeah.
interesting.
We've all slow walked a friend into the occult that
Because
way.
at the end of the day, see how funny, it doesn't matter how you name things. So if you want to get into branding, you're gonna eventually learn about the 12 archetypes. that brands must have, or that they all the time fit into one of the 12 archetypes. Well, 12. The number I saw it before, and then you see the archetypes and what they mean, like the hero, the outlaw, then whatever, and you correlate them with the astrological signs, and they match, and you're like, so you don't want to call it astrology, you want to call it archetypes. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Use astrology, call it archetype. That's completely fine, man. If you want to call that psychology and all that, completely fine. It's all good. Just go and use it. So I guess what what the most maybe skeptic listener right now can take for it is, yeah, it doesn't matter. If you don't want to believe into it, it's gonna work anyway, and might as well believe in defend yourself than getting poked by some people on the other side and don't know
That's why a
what's
lot
happening. Yeah.
of modern magicians are indeed in marketing. I am not the only one, even in my own company. I'm a media consultant and researcher, so I tell the scammers how to scam you better. Um,
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
not even the only magician.
yeah, mass media is the probably the finest form of black magic available. Uh, I mean, mass media can whip crowds, millions of people can be manipulated to engage in activities based on messages that are pushed out in mass media. I mean, if that's not, that's a magic hand to,
Yeah.
puppeteer with it. Yeah, yeah.
And even I guess that relates a little bit with Chris' question about imbuing things with imbuing images with magic and so on. Well, a brand like an ad is pretty much that. You're making an image or video, sometimes even more powerful video with music and so on. You're imbuing it with some kind of energy that is going to make people buy from you or do some kind of action. Like you're making a narrative out there that it's going to make people do things. That's freaking powerful. It's not simple at all. So again, if you don't, that's the whole point. If you don't understand it, you're not going to know how to defend yourself, and you're just going to get caught up in the same narratives, same problems, same things over and over and over. Like, at least understand things so you can defend yourself. If you don't want to use it, like at my website, there are some images of like candle stuff and so on. I just put it there so people can see. If you don't want to play with candles, it's fine as well. If you don't want to play with that, you just want to use mindset, it's completely fine. Do as you will, right? Do as you want. You need to want something first to have it. So, um, at least I think trying to understand it helps you have more fun. I think that the whole point, at least from my perspective, is having fun. If you don't have fun here, like, well, why do anything?
There's
So
way better uses of your time.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, exactly. If you're not having fun, why do it? Um, is there any like last things we want to say before we wrap up? I mean, we've been going about 2 hours now. I mean, I thank you guys both for coming on. I think it was a fun discussion. I still think though that this idea of because the idea of imbuing magic into digital images, that's not anything new. I think the thing that I've been toying around with people doing is trying to, because the LLM, it's basically it's like a Ouija board, right? And so it's like whatever response the LM gets, maybe if you could potentially summon some spirit or contract some spirit, right? And then pull up Chat GPT and be like, all right, now talk to me through this, right? There's, I don't know. I think that there is perhaps a new frontier for like technomancy to use
Hmm.
chatbots as some kind of
And they are.
tea leaf reading thing, right? You know.
That was around when I was in high school, at least. So I'm just not in those circles. I'll be super honest. I find it shock horror that yours truly is kind of a luddite when it comes to this kind of thing. But I find it very interesting, and I was really surprised the guy reached out to me who did that proposed that idea. I love it. I think it's very interesting. I'm curious how much you would trust that. But I would not. I would do it purposefully for entities that I did not want to actually conjure. I would. I think that would be very interesting. I'm
Yeah, I
thinking about what I would do in that sense. Sorry, please speak.
yeah, I think it again it becomes kind of a crutch as well if you start needing some other tool to do things. And I don't mean only AI, I mean also like if I need this specific instance to be in this state to then talk to this thing to then it's like sure you can use it, but if you can as much as possible just do things like bare bones, you with yourself you're doing stuff like that's to me when you're really powerful, when you can be in the fucking um I don't know, you're in the street, you want to cross the things and the lights are red, you can make it turn green, you know, this kind of influence in reality that can become real, and you're not going to have your instance there to be in the mood. It's like you're just tapped in, you know. And obviously for that to happen you still need things, and AI I think is a very interesting medium because you have words and nowadays you have sound, you have images, you have like many different things. But I don't know, personally it's like what I said before, right? I feel like it's not going to be as powerful as just me trying to contact the thing and getting
Yeah, it's not
the
gonna
sense
happen
however I
the
can explain.
normal way. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
There, I just have to say William Birkin's comment. It's really funny. He says, "Keep the LLM within a triangle so it cannot lie."
Yeah,
I
it's
thought that's
cracking
great.
me up too.
That's so
Yeah,
good.
that's really funny.
That was really good.
Yeah, the
Uh,
chat has been 10 out of 10, by the way. Thank you all so much. Like,
yeah,
I've just
thank you
been
guys for
snickering over
chatting so
here.
much.
It's been
Yeah,
great.
I wanted to read more of them out, but yeah, it's just been there's been a lot of messages.
I think we need to do an occult chat later that is just magic and pop culture because if folks are jumping in with anime, ha, we could do a whole episode on anime if you'd like. I don't want to, but I really would like to talk about pop culture and magic and how it's changed our perceptions and maybe in good ways and bad ways would be an interesting bit in the future because I think Charmed has a lot to answer
Yeah,
for. Um,
that does sound like a fun episode idea. Yeah.
Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
And both versions, where we could, that would be a fun conversation about your millennials versus your Gen Z, TikToky, tarot readers. There's a very, you can tell who grew up watching one version of Sabrina and who grew up watching the other version. Some of y'all just saw the Love Witch and were like, that's me. Whereas I saw The Craft and was like, oh my God, where the hell am I going to find three other friends to dress like goth girls? It happens. In Japan, it turns out that's where I found them. So, mhm. I have a whole lot of fun backstory, but yeah, I lived there for 3 years.
Oh, okay. There. Okay, got it. Yeah, I personally, I love and hate the YouTube tarot readers. There's some of them that I think are incredible. I'm gonna give a shout out to Kino Tarot. I think she's terrific. She's been right about every single thing for me. Um, but yeah, yeah, you're right. I do think that you can tell which ones are Gen Z and which ones are millennial. And it is really interesting to, I think that would be fun to talk about the how spirituality and magic is perceived and acted upon and and received by the public, because this is, I feel like it's so much, everyone I feel like is doing magic at this point. Everyone
Mhm.
is a bit of a stretch, but
I would
Well,
push that further. I would say everybody's been doing magic forever. They just didn't call it magic. Particularly when we talk about like Americans, when we talk about like Mormonism and where it comes from, Smith was everybody was using the second one was like a treasure hunter, but what he was doing was using magic to scry for hidden objects. It was very commonplace, like in the Salem witch trials. They were practicing magic to find the witches. It's just what kind of magic. It's really a very modern, and it has a lot to do with the evangelical church's insane stance against modern science, where you get the yeah, I struggle with the reaction from our woo woo friends um, of just completely abandoning science and treating it like they're separate.
Yeah.
Every single scientific advancement worth a damn was made by an occultist, and I will die on that hill.
Yeah.
It's not a hard hill to die on, friends. They're
Yeah.
weird. Some of them are Christians, like, oh, fine, I'll give them their due, but not most of them. Or they're fun Christians. They still
Yeah.
exist.
They are Christian Kabbalists.
Well, that's kind
They're-
of what I meant by fun
it's like
Christian. Yeah,
yeah, okay, they're Christian Kabbal. Okay, cool. But yeah,
yeah, okay.
science
They're Selamites. Fun.
exactly. Science is usually very late to the party, but I also find it hard when, especially nowadays, like on today's age, maybe a couple of years ago, would be cool. But they try to be 100% super mystical and woo woo. Like people don't have time for that anymore. Like if they can just go to AI and ask for the thing, they are not gonna waste time listening to you going to "Ooh," and like all the mystical. Like that's cool as well. Just again, just balancing. I think that's the main point. It's like balancing stuff, making sure you have a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. And like you were saying about using tools before, where it's like a certain incense or a certain magic object, and you're like, well, if you get to the point where you need those things or else you can't do the ritual, um, that uh that can certainly happen. But so it's important to like because you can get away with a lot in a pinch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can like you just imagine that you have it, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's the easiest workaround, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
just like visualize yourself using the object that you don't have that you wish you did, right?
Yep.
Or you can reduce it down even further and make a gesture.
Yep.
It contains all of this whole elaborate ritual that you would have done previously. Now you can do by just stroking your finger, right? And that's kind of how you evolve as a magician. Is like learning how to balance, you know, the 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 fetishes or the physical items that you're using and the totems, the talismans, whatever you want to call them, with what those things actually mean to correspond to, which is the energetic signature.
Yeah. You learn to abstract them away. And I mean, it's fine. Everyone goes through the incense man woman phase, right? Like you want to buy all the types of incenses and crystals and everything. Like it's cool. Just learn to pass beyond that point and do other things as well. Which
But do not start at the mental point either, you little bastards, where I'm seeing the shit where you're like, I put a cup of water out and I manifested an angel. No, the fuck you didn't. You had a fun afternoon in front of a cup of water doing some deep like, slow down, Sally. You gotta do the woo-woo crystal bullshit first. And then your mind is sharp enough. But until then, I need you to hypnotize yourself with all the toys and garments and gadgets. Thank you very much. I'm tired of this. Oh my god.
yeah,
Then they're
I would
like,
say
my life fell apart. I can't imagine magic's so dangerous. Or you just thought a cup of water was somehow equal to ambrosia. Help me,
y-
help you, help me.
yeah, I'd say it's like a on a progress level. Usually do things how you are being taught, right? If it's in a book, if it's in whatever, obviously trusted sources, right? Don't get a random book because something most people don't know, but a lot of occult books have like traps in them. So they have something that is supposed to work, but it works in a different way, or it's supposed to siphon your energy or whatever. So again, pay attention. But just do things by the book. It kind of should work, and then you expand. That's it. Simple as that. Like how you learn in school. No, you learn how to do some kind of formula or whatever. You do it like you're supposed to do. Then you kind of learn. Oh, okay, I can do it like this, like that, like that. It shouldn't be that complex.
Great recommended book. Beyond the Horizon. That's my
Yeah.
book.
I was going to say, Cooper's got, if you want a slightly less exasperated version of him being like, why are you doing it this way? Get the book. No, it's actually a great
It's
book. Um,
oh yeah, the
it's
second book is entirely me saying, well, I don't know why any of you do this dumb shit. But then in the third, fourth, and fifth books, I tell you what you should do instead. So it's all in one big book. I just am an occultist, and so I had to have five things within one thing because
Yeah, no, it's good. It actually lays out some of the basics that people should familiarize themselves with, and a lot of things that people skip over before when they just start doing magic, right? And it's important to not skip that stuff because it will bite you in the ass if you
Yeah.
do. So, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, if you can get initiated, that's the whole point of getting initiated is that
mm,
you have someone, a master, true master that knows it shouldn't be your like the only person that you listen to and so on, but it just went through all the shit. So it can tell you, like, hey, go do this, go do that, try it out. And a good master will teach you the way and let you go your way. Like that's it.
mm,
You get initiated and okay, I understood how it is, how it's not, and so on, so on. So sure you can self-initiate into some stuff, but I am of the team of at least spiritually getting a master, like somehow get in touch with someone that knows their shit and they can show you can experience it. Like I to the basically I can give a quick rundown how it goes, right? I came into this guy out of nowhere, this supposed Kabbalah master, and well, as far as I knew, he's a random guy. I mean, I never knew him and so on. Didn't met him through someone. Okay, first class already, my mind gets exploded with the amount of synchronicities. But I'm like, okay, first class, yeah, it could be. My skeptical mind, yeah, maybe it's not. Then the whole week until the second day, the second class, it's already like all the synchronicities happening. So then the classes come, and then all the stuff that I was living comes into the class, and they are all personalized. So it's not like, well, they are personalized and they are already pre-made. So there are two parts. So, anyways, in three classes, it was pretty clear to me. Okay, there is something here. This guy, he can be bullshitting on some stuff. I don't know, but there's some stuff. There's juice here, and well, there it goes. A couple years passed like this because it's just so amazingly crazy. And then you start doing it yourself, and then you see it works. So it's not only the other person doing; it's like you can do it yourself as well. Okay, cool. I can play around. You know, so
Yeah, it's great. And it's always like this evolving journey, right? And sometimes it's like a book that sets you on the path because you read it and then you pay attention and notice things you wouldn't have before, and that leads you to meet somebody that you wouldn't have crossed
mm,
paths with before, right? And so,
mhm.
like the um I mean that's kind of how things went for me personally, right? So, you know, um, yeah, explore things. Look at the books. But also don't just believe everything you read wholesale either, right? It's important to maintain some skepticism, and like you said, there are booby traps in some of these old grimoires, and you gotta be careful with that too.
be more
Yeah,
worried about the modern ones.
The
yeah.
modern ones, yeah, yeah,
That's what would scare me more. The old
yeah,
ones, they've been
probably.
translated so many times that fine. If you really went out of your way to go drink mercury, that's on you. But like some of these are new agey books. I'm like,
Seems
that
sus.
can't be right. Why did you that what did come on now? I'm at least transparent in that my book is going to charm you. So ha ha
Yeah.
ha. But that's the point, is you should be. I think as long as you're telling people that you're enchanting them, it's fine. Whether or not they're into it is their business after that point.
Well, I mean, people do it all the time, even and they don't call it magic, right? Like if you're putting makeup
Exactly.
or if you're putting cologne or something, you're doing some kind of stuff already. So if you're just doing 10 times more efficient because you're doing magic, it's not that bad.
I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's as good a place to leave it as any. Thank both of you for coming on. It's been a really great conversation. Yeah, you can. Matt, do you want to tell people where they can find you if they're interested?
Yes. Yeah. So first of all, thanks a lot for calling me in the first episode. It means a lot. It was pretty cool. Pretty cool conversation. If you like me, like what I do, you can follow me on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, always at Matt Moura 19. So Matt Moura 19. There's also my website. It's written down here, Kabbalah.com, with two ways, a little bit different. It's cool because then I can get the domain as well, right? And if someone searches, only myself has the name, so that's cool. But anyways, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys know my co-host Cooper, the Witch King. Again, he was on the last episode, one of the last episodes I did. I probably should have saved your interview for this show, but I was like, I didn't know. I was still experimenting around, didn't know if I was
Yeah,
gonna actually launch this show or not. But yeah, go check out his stuff. He's yeah, well, you can tell the people.
sure. I would just go ahead and the book is probably the only thing I'm pushing right now, which is Beyond the Horizon, a modern seeker's guide to meaning, mystery, and magic. You can also just search Cooper Henkel, Beyond the Horizon, Cooper, Beyond the Horizon, Cooper Witchcraft book. I think it'll all come up. Um,
Yeah.
Grand, love it. If you're interested, please do. There's 50 some books in the back that you will be encouraged to go read after and or during. It is very much a technical manual, so if you're looking for like a lot of make you feel good stuff, that won't be in there, but there will be a lot of theory and then 10 sorceries you should be able to do before you call yourself a practitioner.
Yeah, no, I really like that part of the book, the teaching the 10 practical sorceries. I think it's really good, and I think it's a good selling point for the book. And it's like if you want to actually get your hands dirty and do some rituals it doesn't require a whole lot of setup or time, then it's a great opportunity. Um, yeah, so check out his book, and also Hope, you want to tell everyone what you're doing, where they can find you. I mean, you're
Yeah, I'm just on X and Instagram under Dear Mortal. Yeah, thanks for having me on again. I think this is my fourth no, not
yeah, it's
Astro
like
Live, but like the first
appearance.
yeah,
Yeah,
this is my fourth appearance on one of Alex's shows, and it's always super enriching. And yeah, it was great listening to you, Cooper, and Matt talk about all of this, and of course, you too, Alex. And yeah, I'm definitely going to be walking away with this with a lot to meditate on and digest.
yeah. Well,
Awesome.
yeah. Thanks. Again, I'm Alex Harper. I'm an astrologer and magician. You can find me at Baleful Rays on Instagram and Twitter. I have a website, alexharper.net. You can get a astrology reading from me, although those are booked out pretty far at the moment. I think I might have some spots in December left. I'm not sure. But yeah, thanks everyone. And it's been a great show. And I hope that, yeah, we'll be back again soon for another episode and another interesting guest and talk about magic. It'll be fun.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Thanks again.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.